Today we have something special. This box, if this qualifies as a box, it's more like a loose representation of cardboard tape and hopefully bubble wrap. Came for me from the UK. So this is an international what's in the box. This is going to be fun. So let's open this thing up. I don't know what's going to be more fun, finding out what's inside or trying to open this box. All right, I'm going to guesstimate we can do it from the top. Oh, look at that. Outer layer is breached. We have the inner layer. Good stuff comes across the pond. So what we have here is a prime example of 1980s rack goodness. I give you the Pearce G1, made by Dan Pearce. This is probably 80s rack gear goodness, not tube, which is a departure from my usual tube goodness behind me here. MOSFET, solid state, but a good piece of equipment from the time. Notable users, Alan Holdsworth would be one of them. I believe Reb Beach used for the clean tones one of these. Several different iterations came through the years. The G1 is the first one, which is what this is. They had a G2, I think they had a G2X, I think, at the end. Billy Sheen is another big user of this. His was, originally I think he used a guitar version, then they made him a BC one, which is the bass version. So that way you could have distorted in one channel, clean in the other channel, and blend the two. So this is gonna be fun. This is a good piece of historical rack goodness. A little bit departure, like I said, and see how this thing sounds. And we're back with the wheel of rack destiny. Basically, pair up Pearce G1 with one of these beautiful preamps on this wheel. Not gonna lie, I want one particular preamp. I really want one preamp on here to be paired up with the G1. But I'm gonna spin the wheel and let's see what happens. Yes, the Mesa Studio. That's the one I really want. It really has to be. These two have to be paired up together. And the reason why is they're both two-channel. They both have built-in reverb. And in my opinion, they both have some of the best clean tones out there in rack world. And I really want you guys to see these two pitted against each other so you get a good frame of reference. Because a lot of people have seen Mesa Studios. Not as many people have seen the Pearce G1. All right, over at the rack, let's take a quick comparison of these two rack preamps. So in essence, they're both two-channel. They both have built-in reverb. They both have a clean and a lead channel. But how they do that, it's a bit different. So the G1 actually has two independent channels with two independent EQs. The Boogie, Mesa Boogie Studio here, technically is two channels, but they share the same EQ unless you do one EQ for the clean, and then you hit the graphic EQ for, say, the leads. So not nearly as true two-channel as the G1 would be, but close enough. One other thing that's neat about the G1, or cool about the G1, is independent reverb controls. So there's one for each channel, versus you've got one reverb control on the Mesa. So you can set it up for clean, and then you have to change it if it's too much for your lead sound. So there's a kind of like give and take there. It's not nearly as flexible. The graphics are really cool though. There's a graphic EQ, not graphic EQ here. But the EQ on the Pearce is a bit different. So you've got a bass, you've got a mid-range, but you've also got a frequency setting to where you can like dial in which frequency you're tweaking on the mid-range, which obviously the Mesa doesn't have. You've got treble, the reverb settings, and the master volume. So you've got drive, you've got volume. Over on the Boogie, you've got volume master, which kind of gain in your master, And the lead, you have lead drive, which would be your gain again, and your lead master, which would be your master volume. So that's a little bit smoother. And then on top of that, on the G1, you have an overall reverb master volume. And then you've also got a limiter on the G1 you don't have on the Boogie, Studio. So that's kind of a cool thing. And then one final thing you have with the G1 you don't have with the Studio is channel summing. So you've got channel 1, you've got channel 2, so you can set up 1, which is what I've got for clean. You've got 2, which is what I got for drive. And then you can put 1 plus 2, which is actually pretty cool. You can actually sum the 2 channels together. And then you've also got boosts on each channel. So I'm going to not boost the clean. I'm going to boost the drive, obviously, to get the higher gain setting. And then when you do this summing, you can actually have a plus 10 or a minus 10 dB switch. So you can either kick it up even more or drop it back a little bit. One thing you get with the Mesa that you don't get with the G1 is you got a fat switch. You have a fat lead, or lead fat, sorry. Lead bright and rhythm bright. So you got bright switches, you got a fat switch. So that's, in a nutshell, the differences in the controls for these two. We're going to play some clips and see how they sound. All right. G1 wired into the rack. Studio's already in the rack. No outboard effects. Going to use the reverbs built into each one of these units. And G1's up first, and we're going to play some music through them. So let me click that guy in. And there is Mr. G1. All right, Mesa Studio. Click him in. So for the crunchy tones, I'm going to do some adjustments to both preamps. G1 though, just got to plug in channel 2 because it's already set up, and click him in, and here's what it sounds like. Alright, on to the Mesa Studio. I had to do some tweaks to it to make it kind of in the same vein. One was to decrease the reverb a hell of a lot because the clean reverb was nice and great. Add the dirt and it just kind of goes sideways. Other thing I did is mess with this lead drive. There's a lot of noise out of all my Mesas. So this is with an isolation transformer. So here we go. Okay, so one more last thing to leave you guys with is I'm actually plugged into the some inputs. I want you guys to hear what it sounds like when you actually go into both. It's actually not stacked, it's not in series, it's in parallel. So you're going to hear clean, and you're going to hear some dirt kind of in the same vein. I think what's kind of messing with me is I've got a little different volume. Clean is much higher volume than channel 1 with its clean is higher volume than channel 2, but you get the idea. If I click it in. A lot of reverb on that clean, not a whole lot of reverb on that crunch, so I think if you tweak it, you can get both to sound really good. But as I did just the two different independent channels against each other and then summed it, not the greatest thing in the world, but worthwhile. Alright, so that's the two preamps. I think they're both stellar preamps. I think the G1 kind of flies under the radar. I think most people know that preamp. A lot more people know the Mesa Studio. In my opinion, though, I think it's a kind of a push on the cleans. I think the cleans are great on both of them. One thing to know about the Studio is I'm pretty low on the controls in the Studio in terms of the reverb, in terms of the drive, and I'm maxing pretty much on the G1. So the problem is what you're getting in the G1 is about as good as you're going to get. Studio, you've got more room to play with. But on the flip side, I think the G1's a lot easier to dial in. You've got two independent channels rather than having to do two different, tweaks while, changing from lead to clean and back and forth on the Studio. So, I don't know if the Studio is made to be out there and being gigged, but that's one of the things I see is different. But again, both are great. Let me know what you think of the two in the comments. And it's not that I haven't bought more rack gear. It's available time to make videos about rack gear. So there's a lot more coming. Like and subscribe if you like, and we'll see you next time.